In a courtroom gripped by tension, a young black boy stands trembling, tears streaming down his face as a judge's mocking laughter echoes through the room until the doors swing open, revealing a figure so powerful it silences the room in an instant. You won't believe the twists that follow. Hit that subscribe button now to dive into this gripping tale of justice, revenge, and a mother's unbreakable will. Exclusive updates and more await you. Judge laughs at crying black boy in court until his doge mother walks in the courtroom. In downtown Atlanta was a cavern of polished wood and stern faces, the kind of place where justice was supposed to reign supreme but often felt like a stage for human flaws. On this humid August morning in 2025, the air was thick with anticipation as 16-year-old Jamal Carter stood before the bench, his wrists bound by cold metal cuffs that clinked with every nervous shuffle. His dark eyes were red-rimmed tears, carving paths down his cheeks, his voice a broken whisper as he pleaded, "Please, Your Honor, I didn't mean to do it." The charge was serious assault with a deadly weapon, stemming from a chaotic altercation outside his high school where a knife had been found near his feet after a fight broke out. The prosecution painted him as a thug, a product of a broken system, while his public defender, a harried woman with too many cases, struggled to mount a defense. The gallery murmured, a mix of sympathy and judgment, as Judge Harold Whitaker leaned back in his high-backed chair, his graying mustache twitching with amusement. At 62, Whitaker was known for his sharp tongue and sharper biases, a man who'd spent decades on the bench cultivating a reputation for unyielding authority. He adjusted his glasses, peering down at Jamal with a smirk that sent a shiver through the room. "Oh, come now, son," he drawled, his southern accent thick with condescension. "Save the crocodile tears for someone who cares. You think crying's gonna erase the fact you waved a knife around like some street gangster?" The gallery tittered, and Jamal's shoulders slumped, his sobs growing louder as humiliation burned through him. But then, the double doors at the back of the courtroom creaked open, and every head turned. A woman strode in, her presence commanding silence like a thunderclap. She was tall, impeccably dressed in a tailored navy suit, her dark skin glowing with a quiet fury. Her name was Aisha Carter, and she was no ordinary mother. She was a senior attorney with the Department of Justice, a titan in the legal world who'd spent 15 years dismantling corruption and defending civil rights. The judge's laughter died in his throat as recognition dawned, his smirk fading into a pale grimace. Aisha's heels clicked against the hardwood floor, her eyes locked on her son, then on Whitaker, who shifted uncomfortably in his seat. "Your Honor," she said, her voice steady but laced with steel, "I believe you've just made a grave mistake." The room held its breath as she approached the defense table, her credentials flashing in her hand, a DOJ badge that seemed to weigh more than the gavel itself. Jamal's tears slowed, a flicker of hope igniting in his chest as his mother took charge, dismissing the public defender with a curt nod and demanding a recess to review the case. Whitaker, flustered, granted it, his authority suddenly fragile under Aisha's gaze. As the courtroom emptied, Aisha sat with Jamal in a small consultation room, her fingers tracing the bruises on his arms from the arrest. The story spilled out. Jamal had been defending a friend from a group of older boys, one of whom had pulled the knife. In the scuffle, it fell, and the police arrived too late to see the truth. The friend, terrified, had run, leaving Jamal to face the consequences. Aisha's jaw tightened. She knew the system's biases all too well, having fought them for years. She promised him justice, but her mind raced with strategy. Back in the courtroom, she presented new evidence: a security camera clip from a nearby store, grainy but clear enough to show the other boy with a knife. The prosecution balked, but Aisha pressed her cross-examination of the arresting officer, revealing inconsistencies that unraveled their case. Whitaker, now sweating under his robe, tried to regain control, but Aisha's legal prowess was unrelenting. By midday, the charges were dropped, and Jamal was free, but Aisha's fight was far from over. The victory was short. That night, as Aisha and Jamal returned to their modest home in a gentrified Atlanta neighborhood, a brick crashed through their window, a note tied to it, "Stay out of our town." The message was clear: someone didn't want her digging deeper. Aisha's instincts, honed by years of uncovering corruption, kicked in. She began investigating, tracing the incident back to a local gang with ties to a city councilman, Richard Hargrove, a man she'd crossed paths with during a prior DOJ probe into police misconduct. Hargrove, a slick politician with a pen for backroom deals, had influence over the police precinct involved in Jamal's arrest. Aisha suspected he'd orchestrated the framing to silence her, knowing her reputation could expose his network. She dug into financial records, witness statements, and old case files, uncovering a web of bribery and coercion that reached into the courtroom itself. Whitaker had been on Hargrove's payroll, ensuring favorable rulings for the gang's activities. The twist came when Aisha confronted Whitaker in his chambers, armed with evidence. The judge cornered, confessed, but revealed a darker secret. Hargrove wasn't the mastermind. The real power was a shadowy figure, Elena Vorse, a corporate lawyer with international ties who used the gang as muscle to protect her real estate empire, built on illegally seized properties. Whitaker's laughter at Jamal had been a signal to Vorse's network. a taunt to provoke Aisha into a trap. Voss had anticipated Aisha's investigation and planted false leads, including the brick incident, to lure her into a confrontation. Aisha realized she'd been played, but her resolve hardened. She recorded Whitaker's confession, turned it over to the DOJ, and launched a full-scale operation against Voss, coordinating with federal agents to raid her offices. The raid yielded damning evidence: emails, bank transfers, and a ledger linking Voss to dozens of crimes, including Jamal's framing. But as Aisha prepared to testify, another blow struck. Jamal disappeared from school, a ransom note arriving at their home, demanding Aisha drop the case. Her heart sank, but she refused to bend. Using DOJ resources, she tracked the kidnappers to an abandoned warehouse, where she found Jamal tied up, guarded by Voss's men. In a tense standoff, Aisha negotiated his release, trading the confession recording for his safety, only to learn it was a decoy. The real twist: Jamal had secretly recorded the kidnappers' plans on his phone, providing Aisha with the leverage to arrest them and expose Voss's entire operation. The courtroom showdown that followed saw Voss convicted, Whitaker disbarred, and Hargrove resigning in disgrace. Yet the story didn't end there. Months later, as Aisha and Jamal rebuilt their lives, a new threat emerged: a leaked DOJ memo suggesting internal corruption had shielded Voss initially. Aisha, now a target, faced a choice: retire or fight again. She chose the latter, vowing to clean house from within. The final scene finds her in a new courtroom, this time as a special prosecutor, facing off against her former colleagues. With Jamal watching proudly from the gallery, the laughter that once mocked her son had turned to silence, and Aisha's justice prevailed, a testament to a mother's love and an unbreakable spirit.